Welcome to ComicCast issue number 158, brought to you by Dwayne's World Comics and Games, 457 East Sullivan Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. They carry comic books, graphic novels, statues, toys, gaming merchandise, including miniature games, board games, and RPGs. Check them out, Dwayne's World Comics and Games, Kingsport, Tennessee. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And this is Gaumer.
And that's it. Where's Adam? Where's Jason? That's what happens. We are at ComicCast Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, wherever you get social with your media. Also, if you are listening to this on YouTube, do us a favor, smash that like button and share out the link. We've got a special guest this week, 2019 Ringo Award nominee for Best Writer and also Best Single Issue. Rylend Grant, thanks for taking the time, man, to come on to ComicCast.
Thanks for having me on. That sounds good. I think you guys are you're the first people to call me Ringo Award nominated.
Oh, nice.
So it's yeah, it feels good. That was a huge surprise. I did not expect it. Particularly I mean that writing category is absurd. I mean, I'm never going to win it. I should just get that out of the way first of all. But
it's very humble of you.
Well, it's but
you are the dark horse. I would, if I'm arguing it, yeah, you are kind of the dark horse.
Like first, 4 first ballot Hall of Famers, basically.
Yeah, right. But man, I mean, what a crowd to be next to, though, right? I mean, we talk about those guys all the time, and now you're in there. That's just amazing.
Yeah, for those that aren't familiar with the Ringo Awards, the nominees, some of the nominees on the list for Best Writer with Rylend, Brian K. Vaughan, Brian Michael Bendis, Scott Snyder, Jeff Lemire. I mean, that's a who's who. When I'm rattling off my top writers in the industry right now, Scott Snyder's always up there, Jeff Lemire's always up there, Brian K. Vaughan, those guys, and I get a lot of flack because I do like Bendis. But
yeah,
how does it feel just to have your name in that mix, though? I mean, like I said, that's a who's who.
Yeah, I'm still processing it. I mean, I didn't expect it. I didn't. It was actually I think it was on like a really ugly notes call on a film that I'm writing, and wasn't even I wasn't even going to look at the Ringo nominations because I wasn't expecting it. And then suddenly I'm on this notes call, and it's it's kind of like this where I'm involved and I'm doing stuff, and I got other people on the line, and I'm having to process information, and then suddenly like my computer, my phone starts blowing up. I have like texts coming in, and my my Twitter DMs, my Facebook messaging is just blown up. It's like, hey, congrats on the Ringo nomination. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What a cool way to find out, though, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. And then it was a friend of mine who's like, yeah, dude, you're nominated with Bendis and with Snyder and on and on and on. And I literally thought that he was screwing with me.
Yeah.
And I had to step off the call. I'm like, guys, I will leap back on this call in 5 minutes. Give me something, and I picked it out. And yeah, I mean, it was it's great. I mean, it's I haven't been doing this for very long. I mean, I've been writing for a long time. I'm a screenwriter by trade. I've been writing in Hollywood for, I don't know, a dozen years or so, and just kind of swerved into the comic lane. I guess Aberrant #1 dropped like, I don't know, give or take like 2 years ago, last month. So still very much kind of a baby in this business, and to be recognized, I mean, those guys have been doing it forever, and they've been doing it at a Hall of Fame level forever. So it's awesome. I mean, dream come true. Best case,
That's Chad Johnson's in the live chat, says the fact that Rylend has a Jake the Snake and Big Boss Man on his wall makes me like him even more. That's what we were talking about right before we went live, man. Those aren't your Hogans. That's the one I had was a Hogan. What were they? Wrestle buddies? Is that what?
Wrestling buddies. Tonka made them. I like my 3-0 girl like beats the crap out of these now, but yeah, the everybody had the Hogan, everybody had the Ultimate Warrior, a lot of people had the Macho Man.
Yeah,
those are easy to come by. The Jake the Snakes, the Big Boss Man, they're probably $150 on eBay or something like that. I should actually, Chad, if you want to purchase these from me, just DM me on Twitter.
Slide into those DMs.
Nice. Well, you guys, your swag game in the background is always so strong. I felt the need to represent. I mean, I'm gonna, my room is full of it, so I'm not, so
looks like you broke into Adam's closet. That's what Adam's house looks like.
I am set up like you guys to a certain degree, but so I did feel the need to give a little hint. I have my.
It's just bragging camp for me, man. I just want to show off my swag.
Yul Carter and Chad Johnson are now talking about the Golden Girls in the background. They want to know who your favorite Golden Girl is.
Nice. Good question.
It depends on the mood you catch me in. But this was so 2 years ago when I brought Aberrant to San Diego Comic-Con, Funko had an exclusive Golden Girls skateboard deck. Like a handful of people got a hold of, and so I was supposed to be doing panels and supposed to be signing and supposed to be doing all this stuff, but I actually spent all of my time on Twitter, just sort of carpet bombing Twitter, trying to get somebody to bring me one of these things, offering like anything and everything, like cash, signed comics. I was getting my my Comic Pro friends to offer their signed comics, and so finally somebody brought me one of these. But yeah, to answer the question, God, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of in a Blanche mood right now.
The slutty one every time.
Yeah,
that's my pick.
Yeah, not all the time, but sometimes I'm a little bit reserved and a little bit stern, like a Dorothy. Sometimes I'm a little flighty, like a Rose.
And I think that's the appeal of the show. I think we're all a little everybody. The Golden Girls are all of us.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's those are very popular polls, right? Like, which Golden Girl are you?
Yeah, the 4 wins of the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still on the Keats poetry.
Oh
gosh, can we stop at the poetry, man? You guys are making me nervous. I don't know if it's real or fake, and I don't know what to do. I get nervous. My hands are sweating.
Yeah. Well, I was on a Fresh Air on NPR yesterday, and I really got into the Keats poetry. So I think that all of my all of my fans are probably Keatsed out right now. But I can hit you guys with some hot takes if you want to. I got some in the queue.
So you did Fresh Air yesterday.
Oh, no.
I think internationally syndicated NPR show. And then today he does ComicCast. Okay.
Hey man, we got 9 in the live chat. We're growing.
Dude, that's like going to like Ruth's Chris and then going to McDonald's. Are you kidding me? What is happening?
I'm much more excited about this experience.
That's very nice of you to say. You're a liar, but that's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, with his back, and I'm representing. So we didn't get into the comics of it all, but I'm coming in hot today. There are a couple of things I'm concerned about, excited about, worried about. First thing is the Andrew Luck situation. Broke on Twitter yesterday that Colts quarterback Andrew Luck, maybe the most talented quarterback in the NFL, right? I mean, in situations, of course, but retiring after only 7 years in the NFL. This isn't a sports podcast. Again, I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of that. What it means for the Colts, all that stuff. I don't think your fans are going to appreciate that. What I am extremely worried about, and that I think we should discuss, is that 15 minutes after Andrew Luck announced that he was retiring, and things blew up on Twitter, you can go find this right now. O.J. Simpson recorded a video, and he was very angry because not an hour before he had drafted Andrew Luck as his quarterback in the football league draft. He was really angry, and it was something along the lines of like, Andrew, why couldn't you have told me before I did this? My season is ruined now. And so Andrew Luck has now ruined O.J. Simpson's fantasy football season, and I am extremely worried, sincerely worried for Andrew Luck's safety at this point.
Oh my gosh, we can keep talking about that. We do have a $4.99 super chat from Chad Johnson. Thank you for the super chat. Says this is for you guys being so badass. Well, I had to step up my hat game for Mr. Rylend Grant this week, but thanks for the super chat, Chad Johnson. The thing about Andrew Luck for me, it's bad timing. Like, and I know so many factors go into that decision, but this close to the start of the season, man, it's tough for the Colts.
It's rough.
Well, it seems to me like he's a professional. I don't think he would have waited till this close to the beginning of the season if his injuries just hit him that hard during practice. This dude's had 3 or 4 neck surgeries, and he's still out there doing it every week. I'm in Nashville. I have to be a Titans fan. He's 11-0 against the Tennessee Titans. So I can't say I'm sad to see him go, but I am in a way, man, because that's what this league is now. It's you got to make those tough decisions of how you're going to feel the rest of your life. And I think that's a little bit of where he's coming from. He could continue to play, sure, but it's either he's too proud to be able to play at a level that he's not comfortable playing with, or he's hurt bad enough where he simply can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And either way, you got to respect a guy for that,
That's what it seems like to me. But yeah, I mean, it's a family decision. I mean, the guy already has more money than he can spend, more than
Right.
right? So, but yeah, it's sad to sit here and think about what he could have accomplished, and more than that, it's very sad to know that OJ is probably going to lop his head off next year.
I'm sure you can pick up somebody on free agency. It's not over, OJ. You've got this.
This is
Don't at us, please. Do not at us.
This is a guy who lopped 2 people's heads off at the very least. A guy stole some signed memorabilia from him, and he got a gang together and kicked his way into a motel room and put guns in people's faces. I mean, I actually, I'm worried about us now because I'm calling out OJ here.
I may have to take this video down immediately. After
you might have to. I might have to ask.
He was great in Naked Gun. I'm not going to take anything away from the guy.
Gomer trying to save himself.
I loved him in Naked Gun.
I'm a huge Nordberg fan, but
you're right.
But also, he lopped 2 people's heads off. So
yeah.
We got 10 hanging out in the live chat, guys. Listen, Rylend Grant, we talked before we went on air. We said, hey, what do you want to talk about? Obviously, we're going to be talking about comic books. We're going to be talking about Banjax. But he said, hey, I'm open to take questions from the listeners. So you guys get in this live chat. If you got questions, throw them out there. And he's got some signed copies. What do you got? Are you going to give away signed copies of Banjax?
Yeah, well, I got Banjax. I got Aberrant. I don't know what I'm going to give away. What I will say is that I got some rare variants lying around.
Man.
I have, and so maybe I'll send some of those, depending. Maybe it'll just be a grab bag. I have, 2 years ago at Comic-Con, we had this crazy exclusive Comic-Con exclusive Coming to America variant of Aberrant #1 that a lot of people went crazy for. There's a McDowell's reference inside Aberrant #1, and we kind of just played it up here.
Nice.
You have Eddie Murphy and John Amos from Coming to America watching David, the protagonist from Aberrant, break into their car in the parking lot. So that's a fun one. We got another one here that I did a fundraiser for the University of Central Florida scholarship fund here that a couple of years ago UCF went undefeated and never got a chance to play for the national championship. So I had the Aberrant characters dressed in UCF gear. From Alabama's national championship party. There's a
I actually really love that. That
Dude,
is awesome.
love that. Well,
because I'm a Tennessee fan and I hate Alabama, so that is beautiful.
So, there aren't too many of these. And then I don't know that I have one. Let me see if I have one readily lying around here. I don't know that I do. I'm stepping out of frame here. Yeah, I guess I don't. But sorry, I should have been prepared. But I have some of the variants from this year's Comic-Con. We had the Karate Kid exclusive variant.
Yes.
And then we had the Banjax #1 Gremlins variant that
yes.
And you can go to my Twitter and see pictures of those. Sorry that I don't have them right now, but
Chad Johnson's talking about
rad.
that Gremlins variant down in the live chat right now, guys. So here's what you got to do: keep the good questions coming. Rylend's going to pick a couple of you guys to win some free autographed comics, and he will get with you guys to get those sent out. So keep the live questions coming, regardless of what we're talking about, and we'll get to as many as we can. Letters from the Left wants to know, if you had to pole vault today, how high could you pole vault?
Wow,
a euphemism?
No, it's not. It's not a euphemism. I'm wondering who this is and how they know, because I pole vaulted in high school and I almost.
Oh, no way!
I almost did it in college, but
wow,
got an academic scholarship, so I didn't do it.
That's literally it just seems so dangerous to me.
Yeah, well, I was always that sort of guy where it was like I would just see something that was completely fucking weird. And is it all right if I curse on this? Because
that's okay.
Wear it out.
Okay, so I can pull it back if I need to.
No, you're fine.
So I was always that sort of guy. Like when I was in high school, I started taking classes at the community college. Like I had to take my math over there because my high school was shitty, and so I became a college student while I was in high school, and I saw that they had a fencing team, and so I joined the college fencing team while I was in high school, and so I fenced for a number of years, and I actually did fence at Michigan for a year when I went over there, but so I am at the college field house fencing. And I look over and I see a bunch of people pole vaulting.
What?
And I'm a junior in high school at this point. Most people start it really early. And then I look over and I'm like, wait a minute, I know those people. And there were people from my high school track team that were in the college field house pole vaulting because it was off season and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know those people and I need to do that. And so I just went over and sort of talked my way into the practice. And so suddenly I was a pole vaulter.
Dude, what do you start off with, like 8 feet and work your way up? Because there's no way.
Yeah, well, it was weird. So that's normally what you do, but I started really late, and so the first time I ever actually got up on a pole was during a meet. So I talked my way into the meet, and so opening height at this meet, it was indoor county. So usually opening height is 8 feet, but the opening height at indoor county is a huge tournament, and so opening height is 10.6, which as a high school student is not, that's a decent height. And so the first time I ever got up on a pole, I was staring at a 10'6" bar, and I cleared it by about a foot.
You're natural, right?
Yeah. So I think
ninja abilities.
Yeah. So I think in high school, I did about 13.5 feet, I think was my high, and I went to state on that. And then when I was thinking about doing it in college and I was practicing between high school and college, I got up to about 15.5.
What do they do in like the Olympics? Like, so there's some. That's where anybody knows. Nobody just watches pole vaulting unless they're forced to.
Come on, you don't watch high school pole vaulting?
Yeah, right.
Well, there's a massive jump where it's like the people in the Olympics are, in the 19 feet range.
Yeah.
It's and then I think the world record is probably 20 feet or something like that. But in college, you're talking. I mean, I was up to about 15.5 before I went into college. Then you go into college, you get better equipment and better training, and then they're doing 16, 17 feet in college. And then if you're, I was never going to go to the Olympics, but I was having a good time just flying through the air like an idiot. And
sure,
yeah,
who wouldn't?
Yeah, but that's awesome. But how high can I pole vault now? I guess that was the question. And I still want to know who this is, because that is a deep pull. I'm wondering if there's somebody from high school on that.
He also wants to talk about sophomore year geography, so he clearly is.
Yeah, clearly. Sure.
Somebody from high school. Is it maybe Joe Oliver? Is that who it is? Is it sophomore year geography? Is it DJ? This is somebody I went to high school with? Crazy.
This can only happen on ComicCast.
Right? Yeah, totally. I'm being is there a way I can't see the general chat? Like, it's popping up in the video window, but is there a way for me to see the chat or no?
The way you can see it, you would have to just open it on your. Do you have your phone with you?
I do have my phone, so I'd have to click the link and do that.
Yeah, you have to just go to the YouTube
and then just open the live chat.
Okay, interesting, nice. Right now, oh god, yeah. Let me see. I think I'm good for 12.6 right now.
There you go. Don't cut yourself short.
Yeah, and if
respectable.
If I put some work in, I could probably get back to that 15.6. I don't think I could. I don't think I have the balls to do 15 again. That's pretty.
This is the weirdest opening to a podcast ever. He says, "Hint: he was in your wedding."
He was in your wedding. I think this is probably Steve Pryor, who was my best friend growing up. Which is, I didn't expect to see him in here, so I'm getting ambushed.
Steve, if you're in that live chat, you better hit the like button and share out the link. Yeah, that's what this is all about.
Yeah, this is just Steve. This is Steve angling for a free comic book right now. Yeah, talk about how we used to go to Toys R Us and look for Spawn figures.
That's rad. That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
let's talk about some other fun stuff, because when Adam added Banjax to the Book of the Week poll. Dude, you were up against some stiff competition. We're going to get into Banjax, but he said, dude, you guys got to go look at his Wikipedia page. So that's what me and Gaumer were talking about right before we went live. He was like, oh my gosh, have you looked at his Wikipedia page? I don't know what I want to talk about first. I don't know if I want to talk about being
I want to know who killed JFK, damn it.
An ordained monk. I don't know if I want to talk about playing poker professionally. You played online poker out of your house and paid the bills with that? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so when I moved to LA, and I was at the American Film Institute for grad school. I was a directing fellow over there. So I needed to pay the bills somehow. And so the first thing I did was I got a really shitty subtitling job at night. So I would go to school all day. And then right after school, I would go to this subtitling job where it was just basically like it's like monkeys in front of keyboards,
Yeah.
And so the funny thing there is I did if you take the DVDs of like the first like 5 seasons of MacGyver, I did Seinfeld, I did a lot of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you put those DVDs in and you watch the English subtitles, I actually created those.
Oh, your first credited work as a writer.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
As a writer, that's actually pretty funny. So I was doing that, but it was one of these jobs where like it was an 8-hour shift, but me and my friends there, we could get our work done in probably about an hour, right? 90% of our work. Yeah. And then we would just tune out and we would like go into the parking garage and we would like get a case of beer and throw a football around for several hours. And then we would come back with like 4 hours left in the shift and we do the final 10% of our work, pretty sometimes intoxicated. And we would just kind of roll through it. Well, it just got to the point where that was when the online poker boom was kind of going, and so I just started opening up an online poker window
at work.
Nice,
so nice.
I would do the final 10% of my work, and then play poker while I was doing it, and then it got to pretty quickly that I was making a lot more money playing online poker than I was actually at that subtitling job, and so I quit the subtitling job, started doing that full time, and I was making a pretty damn good living. And so yeah, it wasn't just that. And then I started playing and live tournaments at the Commerce Casino and a couple of card rooms around LA. And yeah, I mean, I actually won some. I won an event at the LA Poker Open, and I won a couple of larger tournaments. Won a lot of tournaments online, and yeah, it was I don't know.
What is the secret to being a good poker player?
Well, God, you know what? The secret to being a good poker player has changed so violently in the last couple of years. I'm
kind of good at Gwent. You ever played Gwent?
I have not played Gwent, no. But who knows? I mean, can you make a living playing Gwent?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. It's like Magic the Gathering.
So, so there's been this huge shift in the poker landscape recently. When I started playing, it was a lot about kind of personality. And your flair, your aggression, all of that stuff. And math was always a part of it. You had to know the math, and you had to make the math work for you. But the math nerds, the statisticians, the metrics guys have come in, completely taken poker apart and put it back together. And so basically, if you're not playing that game now,
so now it's not fun anymore.
If you don't know that backwards and forwards, it's really hard to hang. And so I haven't played a hand of poker in a long time, and I think I could beat up my nerd friends, and I probably will at some point very soon. It actually sounds fun, but yeah, actually going to like a live event or something like that, I don't think I'd do very well. But maybe it would probably take me a year to get back into playing shape. So
were you playing when you were doing that? Was it during the big boom when it was always on ESPN2 and all that?
Yeah, and it was and it was nice because you just always had. I mean, if you went to you went down to a poker room in LA on like a Friday night, it was just it was a bunch of like goon frat guys who they spent their evenings during the week watching poker on ESPN. And they all thought that they were fucking Johnny Chan or whatever, and they'd roll in with $200 to lose, and
you were happy to take it from them.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like I was never playing crazy high stakes, so don't mistake this like I was fucking Johnny Chan either, but I was I was this mid-level guy or a level above these these cretins who would just take them. And so we, the guys who were kind of in my my canoe, we all knew each other and we stayed away from each other and we just picked on, the frat guys. Sure. And we made a pretty decent living on it. But then, yeah, I mean, what took me away from poker was I just got, I got hired to started getting hired to write movies, and it just got hard to play poker for 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day or whatever, because these pesky
how do you go from that to that? How do you go from playing poker all day to saying, "Hey, man, will you write my movie? Will you write me a movie?"
Yeah, well, I was, again, I moved to LA to become a screenwriter, to become a director, and I was at the American Film Institute Conservatory, which is where David Lynch went, and a bunch of other really kind of storied pros, and so most of my poker playing was done while I was at AFI, and I just got hired. I had a script. I wrote this script called Drive. It's not the Drive that you guys know and probably love. This was Drive before there was Drive. Different script called Drive. That it started placing in some contests. It had me in the final mix for the Nichols Fellowship, which is the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences screenwriting competition, like Oscar, But then finally, it won the final draft competition. Which has kind of since become a pretty notable competition. But once that happened, my writing career kind of blew up, and ended up rep at CAA, which is kind of like the evil empire Death Star of agencies out here in LA. And it was one of these overnight things where it was like, I went from again, I'm like subtitling in the morning, playing playing poker at night or whatever, going to school. And then suddenly I'm like sitting down with Ridley Scott and talking about movies. And so that happened very quickly. My first movie, I was hired while I was about halfway through AFI by Penelope Cruz to write a movie with this Spanish director named Fernando Trueba, who won the Oscar for foreign language film a few years before with Bella Polk. So I started doing that, and then I wrote movies for Luc Besson, and I did a couple of things for John Woo, and recently Justin Lin, F. Gary Gray, J.J. Abrams. Doing a couple of things now that I'm really excited about. I don't know, did you guys see Blind Spotting? This film that opened up Sundance 2 years ago.
I did.
Yeah, really kind of interesting movie about these guys in San Francisco who kind of witness a police shooting and sort of the fallout of that, but really kind of meaningful, really affecting. And the guys that did it, Daveed Diggs is he was one of the original Hamilton stars. He won a Grammy and a Tony for Hamilton, and then the other guy is this guy Rafael Casal, who was one of the original Def Jam poets. So they made this film together, and they come in and they do all the music, they cool the whole thing up, and so this film kind of took the world by storm a couple of years back. Again, opened up Sundance, and so I was hired to kind of write their sort of high budget follow up. It's this kind of cool heist movie, and so I'm working on that now. So yeah, it just kind of happened. It was like lightning struck,
right?
Crazy.
Guys, we got
he's hanging out on ComicCast somehow.
Yeah,
What is
he's really
going
made it
on?
now.
What dimension did I fall into this morning?
We got 15 listening in the live chat. Some of you guys trickling in here a little bit late. What we're going to do, Rylend has agreed to give away some autographed comic books. He's open to answering any and all questions. So jump in that live chat, ask anything you want to ask. And he's going to pick a couple of listeners that he feels like ask the best questions.
Can I go first?
Because I have a question first.
Fine.
Ask the questions. We'll pick a couple before he drops off. Me and Gaumer are going to continue with the show when this wraps up, but we'll get all those.
That's when the numbers will.
Yeah, before we do that, but I want to know what. And you can have multiple passions, but where's your passion at? Is your passion more comic book driven, or is it more towards TV and film? But when I read your comic books, are you writing them for TV? I can see that. When I read Banjax, I'm like, this needs to be on TV or on a movie theater.
Screen.
Yeah. Well, they do feel very filmic, and in fact, if you if you open them up, I'm gonna try to do this right now, but I give myself a writer director credit in each one.
Sure.
And some people in comics want to kick the crap out of me for that, but
I like it, and I like that you do seasons too. I think that's cool and that's unique, and it makes your stuff look different.
Yeah, well, I treat these all like, again, I went to AFI for film directing. I have a for whatever it's worth, I have a MFA in film directing from the American Film Institute. And so I treat all these like little films that I'm directing. I'm working really close with the artist. The artist, the colorist. I kind of see him as my my cinematographer, my art director. That sort of thing. And I'm pretty meticulous about how I put them together. There's a long answer to that question, and maybe you guys will find this interesting and just kick me in the mouth if you don't like it. But so early in my film career, I sold a lot of scripts, sold a lot of pitches, and it was easy to do that back then. And then there were these lean years where basically Hollywood stopped buying spec scripts. They stopped buying pitches, and the age of IP started, where everything had to be kind of based on something. We still see that now, based on a video game or a comic book or whatever. And so eventually, again, after a couple of lean years, kind of got smart, and I just sort of took a long look at the landscape, and I'm like, you know what? If they want IP, I'm going to give them IP. And so I took an idea. It's an idea called Thief Coach. You can actually go find this online. But it was an idea that I had tried to sell as a pitch and as a spec for a while, but couldn't, to save my life. And I wrote it as a short story. I got the short story published, and then overnight we had a bidding war over the short story in Hollywood. And again, you talk about lightning striking a dream come true, like everything kind of turning on a dime for you. So it was Justin Lin on one side, coming off of I think it was the Fast 6 release. So biggest summer opening in the Universal history. And then we had Brett Ratner and Robert De Niro on the other side.
Wow.
And it was sort of dream come true, because it was like, just, you're always writing for somebody, and like Robert De Niro was supposed to, he was supposed to play this character. It was who I always saw, so it was like really interesting place to be in, and so we got a nice sale off of that, and agents, managers, they all kind of thought it was a fluke, right? And so just short and sweet, I wanted to prove them wrong, and so I then did it 5 more times with short stories.
Nice.
Sold short stories to F. Gary Gray and John Woo and a lot of these people, and then comics, they were always a passion. They were always kind of my first love. I almost got into it in college, but it was so crazy hard to get a comic book done back then. You were basically dealing with physical drawings all the time.
Yeah.
You had to know an artist in your town, and you're doing this by hand. And it was just, I tried it. It turned out to be more trouble than it was worth. And so maybe in the last 5 years, particularly in the last 3 years, it's gotten a whole lot easier to do this. And so what I will encourage the people listening to do is that if you want to make comics, go out and make them.
Yeah.
Because it has never been more doable than it is right now. And in the age of digital workflow, and there are these massive, meeting an artist used to be so hard. Like, maybe you could go to a con and run into somebody in Artist Alley.
Get lucky.
Yeah. And, but now there are just these massive groups on Facebook, connecting comic book writers and artists with 26,000 members. And it's just, there's these art galleries, and some guy in Brazil or something like that who's like, hey, I did this art, who wants to hire me? And so it just got a shit ton easier. And so, cut to a few years later, and I have 2 books out now. I have 4 more titles in production.
Wow.
I have artists working for me in Hungary, in Brazil, in Mexico. My go-to colorist is in Indonesia. My letterer is in the UK. I deal with them almost exclusively via email. I pay via PayPal. All the files are transferred digitally, like via WeTransfer and Dropbox, and so yeah, long-winded way of saying, comics are the real passion. I'd always wanted to do comics, and so it became easy. And then you have this IP revolution thing. I was already in this mode of generating IP, and so Aberrant had the idea for Aberrant, and Aberrant seemed like a good a good kind of way to transition into comics. And so churned out Aberrant a couple of years back with some help from it was a really great class at this comic shop, Meltdown Comics, which is the biggest comic shop in LA for years. And this guy Jim Higgins, who if you want to make comics, Jim Higgins teaches classes online. Do a Google search for the Jim Higgins College of Comics. It's amazing. And Jim kind of really helped me get my ducks in a row in terms of the comic stuff. And churned out Aberrant, and I think it was 2 weeks before the second issue of Aberrant hit shops. We had Aberrant option for television. So
I remember that.
Yeah, Tony Krantz, the guy who executive produced 24, Felicity. He produced Mulholland Drive for David Lynch. He did the Blue Assassins for Netflix. So he scooped it up, and we are in the throes of developing that for television. I'm writing the pilot. I'll run the show if it goes. And
nice.
So that was it. But the stuff you can do in the film business right now, you can kind of fit on a postage stamp. I mean, I'm mostly a feature writer. I do some TV stuff, and I'm doing more TV stuff. But Hollywood makes like 3 different kinds of movies right now. They only have done a certain way, and so it's really tough to sell stuff. It is really tough to stay inspired, to stay engaged. In comics, you can do anything you want to do, any way you want to do it, as long as it's good, as long as it's interesting, as long as it's challenging.
Yeah.
And so that's what's really exciting about comics.
That freedom.
Yeah.
That creative freedom.
Yeah, exactly. And so, to tell you the truth, I mean, the few years before I started writing comics, my writing got really stale. And I started to wonder, like, can I do this for 10 more years? Do I want to do this for 10 more years? It was paying the bills, but it was really kind of unfulfilling. And, I think writing comics saved my life. I sort of said that,
awesome.
Well, when I made a pact with myself that I was never going to write a comic straightforward, never do a straightforward story. And so if you read Aberrant and Banjax, you see I'm always kind of telling things out of order and playing with point of view and all that stuff. And you can't do that in movies right now.
Yeah.
So
you're a big comic guy now. Okay. You're on everyone's radar. What's the dream gig at Marvel and DC? What is it? Which characters, which teams?
God. That is a hard question to answer.
Right.
It's
between your kids.
Yeah. Just between, I mean, it's, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye was the best comic I've read in, I don't know, 10 years.
Nice.
It's just really, really good. And so I guess that would be what it, I would like to take a criminally underappreciated character. And I don't know who that character is yet. I mean, maybe you guys have suggestions.Maybe the listeners, the people in the chat have suggestions.
Yeah.
But I would like to take a criminally underappreciated character like that and kind of give him his due. I think Kirkman did it with Ant-Man a few years ago. That was really interesting. I'd like to do something with that. I don't know what it is yet. It's funny because it's like I kind of did. I wonder how willing DC or Marvel would be to kind of hand me their character because because I've kind of done my Batman story in Banjax.
Sure.
And twisted at that. There's a way to look at Aberrant and that it's like a Captain America story.
Okay. All right.
But again, Captain America is kind of like a drunk, acidic asshole who like ruins everything he touches. And so I'm not saying that I couldn't or wouldn't. There it is right there. Moon Knight would be an amazing character. That was actually the one that was on the tip of my tongue. Thanks for that, Chad. I think Chad is already quickly. I'm not seeing everyone's chat, so I don't mean to discount anybody, but I think Chad is earning himself a
Glob Herman. No, he just ruined it for you. Glob Herman.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what people think, but it would be I would say to the people at DC and Marvel, do it at your own risk, but I would do it, and I would do it enthusiastically, and you may have a mess to clean up afterwards, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What about the 3 books you got planned? Can you say anything about those?
Sure. Yeah. Let me see what I can, these are, I'm so practiced in my Banjax and Aberrant, pitches after 2 years of
sure. Those are already selling. Push the next stuff.
So the first thing I'm working on, and it'll probably be the next thing I shop. And I've been, the comic business right now is just such a weird place to shop right now. I'm talking about as a creator shopping a book because things are just so, the landscape is changing so dramatically right now. I mean, I think that the distribution model is kind of like outdated, and we're in a period of transition right now. There's always like there are companies that are kind of combining, and companies
Lion Forge and Oni Press recently, sure.
And Chinese money coming in, and
DMG over at Valiant,
and even with Image, it's like a lot of their like long running titles are sort of they've run their course kind of naturally, and so now there's kind of a new mandate over at Image that nobody understands yet,
sure.
and I don't think they fully understand yet. So it's a rough go, and so I've had this book for a while that I've wanted to shop, but I'm kind of holding it back to see how things break. But so the principal thing I'm working on right now and finishing up right now is actually a Tokusatsu book. So if you don't know Tokusatsu, if the listeners don't know Tokusatsu, it is the Japanese sci-fi. Give me 1 second. There's like a hootenanny going on at my house, and I would like to maybe try to put an end to it. Kind of having trouble.
Just your comments on the industry that we should not get into. We could talk for another 3 hours. All that foreign money coming in. Yeah. The mess over at IDW. We could go on and on.
Yeah. So, there are literally like instruments playing in my house. So so it's a Tokusatsu book. So yeah, Tokusatsu is the Japanese sort of sci-fi action genre that includes like Voltron, Power Rangers, kaiju, the Godzilla type films and stuff like that. And I've just always been really interested in the and so as you said before, I'm an ordained Soto Zen Buddhist monk. Soto Zen is a Japanese art, and so I'm in touch with a lot of kind of odd people from Japan because of this world. And so one of my sort of fellow monks was for years worked in the Tokusatsu industry in Japan, and he was an executive at a place called Zubaraya Productions, which was founded by the guy who created Godzilla, and they're best known for doing all the Ultraman shows. Sure. And so he was an exec over there for about 10 or 11 years, and he was kind of interested in kicking his way into the comic business. And so he and I decided to collaborate on something. And so we ended up with this thing where we're kind of combining my love of the American action genre. I have now written for the directors of, where are we at? Of 7 of the 9 Fast and the Furious movies, with one kind of in production. And so basically we are doing Voltron meets Fast and the Furious. It is Tokusatsu repackaged for the American action audience. There's a time travel element to it. It's about a kind of kick-ass team of guys who climb into sort of tank-like vehicles, airplanes, and that sort of thing, and they all sort of combine into this bigger badass thing, and they sort of thwart a crazy I don't know, sort of like robot Jocks Lake plot to sort of okay, all right. I know there's a lot packed into that, but yeah. So working on a Japanese Tokusatsu thing right now. I'm doing me and the Banjax team, meaning Fabio Alves and Edson Pereira. We're working on a follow-up together that I'm pretty excited about, and it is a kind of a thriller set in the world of astral projection. Oh, okay. Which is really interesting. Basically our protagonist is a guy who almost by accident finds out that he is sort of he's good at astral projection. That's not a way of saying it, but and so basically kind of like this group that's up to no good finds him and decides to kind of use him for their own purposes. And that's really interesting. And Fabio, the artist on Banjax, is actually, he is sort of like way deep into the world of astral projection. Oh, okay. I'm not, like remote viewing or like actual. The whole thing, astral projection, remote viewing. It is this world. There's this community online of these people who do this and are really into it and very. I've waded into that pool. It's deep. Yeah, I didn't want to get too far. It is deep, and I'm just starting to do it myself. And I'm, I mean, a lot of my writing is about kind of falling in love with worlds. I mean, when I'm doing screenwriting, it's well, okay, now I got to write about Russian mobsters, and so it's like, okay, well, let's spend a month like hanging out with Armenian bookies and Russian contraband movers and stuff like that, and so that's half the fun for me. And so wading into this world of astral projection has been amazing. And again, Fabio is knee deep in it, so he's introducing me to all these really kind of interesting people, and a lot of them are in Brazil or so that's been awesome. So we're working on that one, and then the other one is a little bit more I guess what I would ideally be doing. I've done kind of a lot of big action stuff and a lot of when I went into comics, I of course hit the superhero button and stuff like that. But I got into writing movies to kind of do more Sundancey fare. Oh. so Davi Leon Diaz, who is the artist on Aberrant, he and I are working on something that is almost like a I don't know. It's suited for comic books, but it is a almost like The Wire or Fargo is on TV, where it is kind of like a it is a small town sheriff's department story, but it is a case a season sort of thing.
Okay.
So we are doing a series of kind of 4-issue cases that sometimes involve the same characters. Kind of like Fargo does, where it's like with the Fargo seasons, it's like
what's that HBO show where they
oh, True Detective,
yeah, True Detective sort of thing.
Yeah, so we are doing our it's very different, but we're doing our take on that for comics, and
nice.
It's
I'm sold on that. Easy.
Yeah, it's a little left to center, but I think it's there's a way. I'm starting to think it might be the best thing I've done. So
oh wow,
so
definitely sold then. Yeah,
we got some questions coming in. Let's hit some quick, and then we'll keep getting into this. First, I got a text from a buddy of mine. I sent a few people a message and said, "Hey, check out this podcast. It's going to be completely different than what we normally do." My buddy just sent me a text and said, "Sorry, man, I had to go, but I will say I don't like comic books, but that was a very interesting podcast."
Nice.
And that guy's friend from high school was really cool. I thought that was pretty funny.
Because I still can't fully see the chat. So.
Yeah, I'm going to go back into him here to get some questions that came through. Adam Hempseed says, "How do you feel about novels being adapted into comics?"
As long as they're good. And I guess my only problem with them would be that they're not always good.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the thing, is that some things. I think a good story is a good story. What I have found from I would start with movie ideas and then turn them into short stories or turn them into comic books, but now I'm in a place where I'm thinking comic ideas first, and then hopefully they make good movies and TV shows after that. I mean, what I have found, because I started out, I was a screenwriter for 12 years before I ever started writing anything else. But a lot of my job would be, okay, well, I get a novel or a graphic novel, and then I now have to turn it into a movie. What you have to understand is that, okay, well, a movie or a TV show is going to be it's a different medium, right? It's a different audience. It's a different, if you shot a novel like, word for word, it would be
terrible.
A 50-hour long movie.
Yeah.
And so you have to get right in there, and you got to kill a lot of babies, and you got to figure out what the gist of it and what the most important theme is, and all that stuff. And so I think as long as it's done well, comics are a visual medium. Novels are not. And the best novels, you can see them as you're reading them. But with a comic, you are actually going to be seeing it as you're reading it. And so as long as the adaptation is done artfully, then I'm all for it. And I think that I can't think of one off the top of my head. But want to be the guy at my wedding? Are you ordained?
You don't have to answer that one. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is so the guy that was on before, Steve, I actually did get ordained as a Christian priest also. So I have 2 ordinations. I forgot about that for his wedding. So if you want a Zen wedding, if you want a Christian wedding, I can do it.
Chad's going to be all up in your DMs as soon as this is over.
Yeah. And so I'm all for the novels, and there are a lot of I'm seeing a lot of screenwriters, and I'm encouraging a lot of screenwriters to the way Hollywood works is like you write a script and it goes out as a spec, and if it doesn't get bought right off the bat, and these days very few get bought, it's just done. People know it went out, and they never want to see it again. It's this old dusty piece of fucking ass that nobody will touch.
That's sad in such a way. In such a personal, unique way, man. I couldn't imagine that sort of rejection. Maybe it's just me.
No, and
with comics, even though you've done the comic, you have something to show for it at the end of the day. You've got this thing in your hand.
Yeah, and I know a lot of like supremely talented writers that just have a lot of dead babies sitting on the shelf, and so I have encouraged them to come out and but again, I mean, you have to very carefully do this because not every story is suited for comics. And even if you wrote the best script that's ever existed, you have to rewrite it for comics. So I'm seeing a lot of my friends starting to do that, and I'm even starting to take some babies off the shelf, just things that I I want the world to see. And the funny thing is, like, they wouldn't buy the script, but then it gets turned into a comic, and then you have your bidding war. So
thanks Disney. We appreciate it.
It's such a weird thing, dude. Where it's like I don't know what, the development game in Hollywood is so weird. Where it's like, so if you give them a script for some reason, even though they're in the development game, they are paid to develop material, to change material so it is perfect for a film. If they don't like 1% of your script, they'll just throw it over their shoulder. They don't like it. But if you have a comic or a short story with the same content essentially, and they like one big idea, they will buy the fuck out of that thing and then develop the hell out of it. I don't know what the thing is. It is just a weird psychological mindfuck. And so all I could think to do is just to play their game and just to trick them. And the funny thing is,
we win. The comic book lovers win. Thanks. We appreciate it. Thanks, Scrappy Hollywood, for being so terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I write some of my film stuff with a writing partner, and he and I were tapped by the tech industry. We got flown up to San Francisco, and we did the cousin of a TED Talk. We were labeled disruptors of the film business for doing all this stuff.
Nice.
And we basically gave a big TED Talk on hacking the film business. And so now once in a while we'll get called in by a tech firm to sort of do a kind of a workshop on pitching and sort of just again rethinking how to present your idea,
outside the box thinking. Sure.
Yeah, because the tech industry is again all about it's all about rejection. It's all about sort of packaging and repackaging your idea so people will actually bite on it. So
yeah.
That's
a cool spin. We could go another 2 hours on that.
I gotta take over and ask a question. This is a selfish question. Anybody that listened to my interview with Brian Edward Hill a while back, I think it was Batman and the Outsiders that it was in. And there was a moment, we had a bonding moment on ComicCast, just me and Brian Edward Hill. We have a passion. We have a passion for a certain product that's out there. So what I want to do is I want to pull up this picture from Banjax number 2. Let me find it here.
I'm excited.
I want to ask you
building
about this.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Whose idea was this? Because I loved it. It's my favorite thing ever.
Are we doing another Rocky conversation?
We
with
are.
An interviewer? Yes.
Yep. This is about Rocky. This is straight out of Rocky 4. I saw the panel and I said, "That's the robot from Rocky 4." And my wife's like, my wife's sitting beside me watching TV, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "He pulled this from Rocky 4." And I said, "Look," and found the comparison. And I'm like, "They're even posed the same man. It has to be an homage."
Yeah. So first of all, Paulie totally fucks that robot.
He does. He does.
That's not breaking news. We all know that.
Yeah. This is one of my more unpopular takes, but Paulie totally fucks that robot. But yeah. So I will write these into the script a lot of the time. And I totally wanted it to be. I wanted him to have a robot, and I wanted it to be that robot specifically. It's actually the second Rocky reference in a Rylend Grant comic. I think I just dug it out. So in Aberrant issue 2, General Garrett is taking David through all the crazy shit that's going on with superpowered folk in the world, and we move to China, and we have an Ivan Drago like Aberrant. I'm getting let me see if I can get it.
Oh wait, yeah, I got to stop sharing. If you're going to show this, I got to find it.
Yeah, and he's hitting a bag, and you can see the uniformed communist in the background saying, whatever he hits, he destroys.
Oh, that's
awesome.
amazing.
So we have a nice Rocky 4 reference.
I love that. So see, I've got the trade for the first volume, first season, but I've not. It's my least favorite thing about ComicCast is when you're reading so many weekly new reviews. Yeah. I have so many things that I want to get caught up on.
It's a gift and a curse.
But we got to go back to talking about Rocky. What's the greatest Rocky movie of all time? Is it 4 based on those 2 references?
Well, here's the thing: is that at least 3 of the top 10 movies ever made are probably Rocky movies. It's hard. I almost feel like that's it's like your Golden Girls question, where it depends on the. I mean, Rocky 4 is an incredible movie, and it might be my favorite Rocky movie. But that's a different question than what is the best Rocky movie. And Rocky 4 certainly has the greatest soundtrack.
Yeah.
Probably ever, probably that I've ever experienced on
maybe Transformers '86, but
calm down,
it's close.
Gaumer. Calm down. You're wrong. It's okay.
So amazing. Actually, like a dark horse for me is, do you guys know the movie Rad?
Yes.
Yeah, from the 80s.
Skateboard movie, yeah.
Racing, and that has an amazing, like, pump you up, like, I want to go and, like, kick some ass song.
Yeah.
Come on, Rocky. It's not better than Rocky. There's no. Okay.
I said unequivocally, Rocky 4 is far and away the best soundtrack. I listen to Hearts on Fire probably twice a week.
Oh man, such a good one.
Yeah, and I can't just listen to the song. I have to pull up the YouTube video where I see the training montage from Rocky 4. Where he's mountain at the end.
Yes.
It brings tears to my eyes every time. It moves me like probably no scene in a movie has ever moved me before. But I don't know. Rocky 3 might be like the best. I mean, that might be an unpopular decision, but I like the idea that Rocky's lost it. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was, Rocky 1 is amazing because it is this, it's this. I mean, I grew up in a housing project in Detroit, and now I'm in LA, fucking getting paid to write movies. So like, my story, it's not as dramatic, not as interesting, but my Rocky story, and I love that. But I love the story of the guy who has it all, and then he loses it all, and he has to kind of reconnect with himself to do it. And I love the Clubber Lang character who's like a little bit more hungry, a little bit more mean, and is just gonna.
That's fair. It's fair.
Yeah,
it's
but
fair.
Rocky is incredible. I am the biggest Carl Weathers fan.
Yeah.
In the world, and I've been lucky enough to meet Carl a couple of times. And I went
son of a bitch.
I went to his acting workshop in LA.
But one of my favorite roles for him is actually on Arrested Development.
Yeah, well,
you got a stew cooking.
At Vidiot's, he actually did an acting workshop that I took place in.
Yeah,
I'll send you some pictures from it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so
if you follow the show, you understand that completely.
Oh yeah.
I think I want my money back.
The reference, yeah. That just so happens to be exactly what I charged for acting lessons. So he didn't charge us. It was a fundraiser for Vidiot's.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, like, God, Carl Weathers and Rocky 1 is just so amazing. And then it's actually what I think the biggest mistake they ever made was killing Al Apollo in Rocky 4. That's so tough for me to swallow.
Throwing the towel.
Yeah, it's a hard movie for me to watch because
Sure.
just when you see that shot of him face down is just wrecks me.
Well, we needed that drive for Rock to
it's good storytelling, but as I say all the time, I love depressing stories. So
yeah, but I mean, so I'll throw it to you. What is the best Rocky movie?
I have a special place in my heart for the first Rocky movie, because it's a love story, and even though he loses in the end, he really wins. But it's in like this dual way where he wins the girl and wins the respect of the community, but he doesn't really win anything. I just love that duality of the story there.
I got Geps. She's got Geps. We feel
I think it's two different answers. Like you said, my favorite is probably Rocky 4 because it was the first Rocky movie I ever saw.
Yeah.
But then it's hard to say Rocky 1's not the best because it's the original. It's the story. But another one, Rocky 3, man. Rocky
Hulk
3,
Hogan,
Clubber Lang, Hulk Hogan. But the soundtrack in 4, like you talked about, my favorite. How about this? Best song in a Rocky movie, No Easy Way Out, and that's what Brian Hill used in his Batman and the Outsiders comic.
Yeah.
Such a great montage.
Yeah, I mean, also, the thing I also appreciate about Rocky 4 is that Rocky single-handedly defeats communism, and
Dude, have you seen that 30 for 30 that ESPN put together on that? That's insanely good. They should do that for every fake movie ever.
Yeah, I would advise against a 40-minute dance number before. But yeah, that's really funny.
The live chat's going crazy with their favorite Rocky movies. I'm glad we could bring that up, man, because as soon as I saw it, I knew. I hate to wrap it up. This has been fun, but Gaumer and I are going to talk some comics. We're going to let Rylend go. What do you want? Do you want to pick one lucky winner out of the live chat? How do you want to do this?
So why don't we? I think I'm going to pick a couple. So why don't we shelve it? We'll put it on Twitter.
Okay, cool.
And people DM us because I'm going to give a couple away.
Nice.
And so yeah. But before you kick me off, just let me do my quick plugs. I guess
for sure, dude. Plug anything and everything.
So Aberrant, the Aberrant season 1 and 2 trades are available now everywhere. Via Amazon. I think Amazon has a really good deal on the first one. I think you guys pointed it out that it's like $10.50 or something like that.
Yeah, I've got the links in the descriptions too, guys. So if you want to pick these up, just get down in the links. The Amazon link is there.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say that the second season is better than the first even. The first is kind of an homage to 70s paranoid spy thrillers like Marathon Man and 3 Days of the Condor. The second season is kind of a walking kind of buddy cop film, like 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, Lethal Weapon is kind of an homage to those films.
Cover is sick. Volume 2 cover is so sick,
dude. I love the Volume 1 cover, man. I love it.
Yeah, this is a Hungarian artist, John Borhuska, who's just amazing. He actually an animated film that I produced called Orient City, which you can find on YouTube. It's just amazing. But yeah, and then this is Davi's cover, and he definitely knocked that out of the park. So pick those up, and again, just nominated for 2 Ringo Awards.
Yeah, congrats again on that, man. Well deserved.
Thank you. And it's it's a 10-issue run. It's been optioned for television. Nominated for 2 Ringo Awards. I think it kind of gets better as it goes along because I'm kind of figuring out how to do this comics thing. That 4th issue I think is just that was nominated for the best story, the Ringo Award, and I think it's just a great story. There's actually a way to look at it, and I'm sure you guys will pick this out because you picked out the Rocky reference. There's a way to look at it where Aberrant takes place in the same world as Banjax. I can't officially do that because it may soil my soil some of my movie TV deals, but there's a way to look at it. So Banjax issue 4 is out next month. I don't have a hand on that, but the big thing with Banjax is the season 1 trade paperback is available for pre-order now via Amazon and fine comic shops everywhere. I think you probably have the better part of a month to get your pre-orders in on that, but it's going to be available available on Amazon for the duration after that. I'm trying to think of what else. If you're a comic pro and you're listening to this, you can vote for the Ringo Awards. So ringooawards.com. I would appreciate your love and support. The ComicCast community has been so great to me, to Banjax, to the book, and you guys have too. So if a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I'm a comic pro or not. Look, if you do a web comic, if you have been credited in a book, in a comic strip, in anything, you are a comic professional. And so get on, vote Aberrant, vote Rylend Grant as best writer, and help me unseat these these Hall of Famer types.
Right.
Fight for the little guy. Vote Aberrant issue 4 as best single story, and hopefully we can make some waves. But other than that, thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome. And
dude, we just love good comics, man. Thank you for doing them.
The links in the description. I think I just linked to you as a writer on Amazon. So Aberrant, Banjax, it's all there. Check it out, guys. I'm going to go pre-order Banjax as well. I know I say this all the time on here, and I'm not just saying it because Rylend's on. I'm not blowing smoke up his ass. I say this when he's not on here. We get free review copies. So I read Banjax for free, and I have so much enjoyment out of this book that I'm going to go order it on Amazon. I have Aberrant right here. I mean, what you can't deny. I have the book. I get it for free. Go buy it. It's worth every penny. But again, like Gaumer said, congrats on the nominee. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate the time, man.
Cool. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Later, man.
Yep.
That was awesome.
I could talk to that dude for hours, man.
Let's just watch the live chat slowly
dwindle down to nothing. Dude, his comments on the comic book industry as a whole. Are you kidding me? The way the industry is right now, I could talk to him forever about that. But I think everybody would be so bored talking about that inside baseball stuff. But oh man, what a cool guy.
Man, I feel like I got to recover a little bit.
Oh.
I reread
Pretty Violent, number one.
Oh,
No, I'm kidding.
I was going to talk about Banjax, but yeah, let's go on. Let's talk about Pretty Violent. Number
Oh,
one.
we can talk about whatever you want, Boog. I was just joking.
I was just going to say, I told you off air, but I reread issue 2 of Banjax and just had so much more appreciation for it. And then issue 3 is like the culmination of those first 2 issues.
It really is. Everything comes together really well, and it's still moving forward. He's got like his own little helper now, who's like a recovered convict or recovered scumbag. And it's got this cool little angle where this dude's going to help him recreate his list. So things are kind of, in a way, starting over.
Yeah.
Again. And it's just so well done. Love it. Great book.
The serum that he got his hands on. My audio's okay, and it's clear.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, my video keeps flickering. It just
you look good too, man.
Making me nervous.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. You like this hat?
I love it. Every week from now on, I got to get a top hat.
Dude, that would be the greatest thing ever. Rylend was probably like, "What's this asshole wearing a hat just like me?"
Right. No.
Pretty Violent, number 1 with lots of swears. From Image Comics, created and drawn by Derek Hunter, written by Derek Hunter and Jason Young, colors by Spencer Holt. Man, this little superhero, Gamma Ray, she has a rough start in this comic book. This has like an I Hate Fairyland type of feel to it. It's fun, it's cartoony, but it's violent and offensive. Gamma Ray manages to save a villain on accident, I guess. She kills 2 superheroes. This is all in the first few pages.
Yeah.
This was a miss for me, man. The story kind of bounces around. It introduces a few random characters. Nothing felt relevant. It kind of felt more like they're going for shock value. I don't know that they are, because again, for me, it's like I Hate Fairyland with that over the top violence, and I loved it in I Hate Fairyland. But that's Scotty Young, and I don't mean to talk bad about Derek Hunter. This just didn't work for me. I didn't really dig this first issue.
The cartooning was good. The art was wonderful.
Art was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sort of a fan. The gore was really good, but I see what you're saying. There wasn't a lot of building of the characters or the world or anything like that. You really don't get to know anyone. You sort of just get a premise of exactly what's going on with this lead character, Gamma Ray. But yeah, it was very over the top, very gory. I think that's what was promised. So whatever. It is what it is. Good art. The second issue might be better. And yeah, I'm going to read the second issue just to look at that art. I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, that's it.
Transformers 84, number 0.
You look like you drink Guinness.
I would do an accent that goes with that, but I don't know how. So,
the luck of the Irish be with you.
Is that how?
Something like that. Don't mess with me, Lucky Charms.
I'm not a fan of dropping F-bombs on this show, but ooh the fuck all you.
Rylend took them all already. That was fun.
Don't you love how if it's you guys, I'm like, let's watch our language.
Yeah, he's like, okay, guys.
I'm like, say whatever you want.
PG-13. We get 1 F-bomb. Whoever takes it, no other F-bombs. After that, Ryland's on here, and it's Eddie Murphy Raw.
Jason uses all the F-bombs, man.
Yeah, he does. He waits for him, though. He's got good timing. Transformers 84, number 0. Simon Furman, Guido Guidi, John Paul Bove, and did the colors. Tom B. Long did the letters. Thank you, Tom. He does the letters on all the Transformers books. This is a prequel to the original 1984 Transformers number 1 issue. That series ran for 80 issues, and it was only meant to run for 4 issues. But the UK Transformers, it ran for 332 issues. And those were all written by Simon Furman. So I'm not really sure if this is a prequel to that or the other. Guido Guidi actually jumped on Transformers during the Dreamwave run. And that's where he got famous. This was good. It was all right.
Was it, though?
The art was dope. Again, the art was wonderful. It was throwback. It was for a reason. It wasn't like an homage. This was supposed to be that prequel art, and it was great. I don't know if you could do that with any other franchise right now. Go back to the art they had in the 1980s, and people would actually give a damn. You know what I mean?
Did this matter, though?
No, I don't think this mattered at all.
Just getting $4 and going about their business. Is that what this was about?
Well, I mean, it does add a certain level of conspiracy, I guess is the right word, to why the Ark left in Transformers number 1 and then it crashed on Earth. You know, the whole story of the Transformers. It was like Optimus trying to get over on the Decepticons, and it kind of worked. So
it's pretty dark too. When he's basically ready to to commit suicide and take out all the Autobots, not all, but most of the Autobots, a lot of the
all
Autobots,
the good ones,
and basically said, I thought I was doing the right thing. It would have been worth it to take them out.
That's the entire scope of the IDW Transformers line, living in that gray area, these weird bad choices that are good in one context but just do not work. But again, good, not great art, but that's about it.
Yeah, I really don't have
a
whole lot to add either.
Move on to the dope book. We're flying through these this week.
Yeah, that's what happens when it's just you and I, right?
Yeah. Is anybody commenting on any of these books? You guys have any input? Yeah, Death's Head #1. It was good, not great. I didn't even read the second one, Chad. Didn't even read the second issue.
I feel like we ran off half of the live chat.
No, just one. It looks like just one.
Chad's still here hanging out.
Yeah, Chad, that's all we need.
Where's Serenity? I guess usually Jason's down there talking. Adam's talking. Our co-hosts are gone, so our numbers are down. Let's talk about Dead End Kids #2 from Source Point Press. Written by Frank Gogol, art and colors by really?
Yeah, I'm glad you had this one.
Letters by
Svidikinen.
You said it really good, actually. Letters by Sean Reinhart. Thanks, Sean. Man, the first issue of this, we meet this ragtag group of kids living in the 90s, worried about Y2K. It was so much fun. But then things go south. One of the kids ends up dead under the ice of the lake, pond, whatever. I don't know what it is. Presumably murdered. The kids suspect the local bully, who just so happens to look like Fred Durst. We also got this creepy old man that looks like Clint Eastwood. But for me, this was a great issue, a great second issue. It really drove home character development. You got all these flashbacks, and Rylend Grant was just talking about that with Banjax, how he doesn't tell stories. It doesn't work in movies, but in a comic, man, you can do this. And you got all these backstories adding so much to these characters. Just good stuff. My mom used to always say, give people the benefit of the doubt because of X. And she would always talk about something from their past, their parents, whatever, based on how they were raised, their experiences, all these different things that shape who we are as people and how we react to things. And that, my argument, and I still believe this, that doesn't give you a free pass. You don't just get a free pass to be a dick, but it's definitely a factor, man, for how people react to certain things. And I think we saw that in these flashbacks. And again, it just adds so much depth. This is only a 3-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
This was a perfect second issue for a 3-issue miniseries. The kids end up getting that bully, holding him hostage, trying to get him to confess the murder because of certain circumstances that went on. Bullets fly, people die. Nobody is safe in this comic book. And I think Frank either said that in the live chat when we talked about issue 1, or maybe on Twitter. I saw it somewhere. But this was great, man. Serenity's in the live chat, cleaning house, using us as background music.
Awesome.
Glad to know you're here. We just missed your comments and your interaction. So,
we're going to get to Powers of X. Don't worry. But this was great, dude. Frank's hitting every point that he needs to hit on a book like this. This escalated quickly. And then you get all those flashbacks mixed in where you're like, oh, it escalated, but not that I was rooting for anybody because they're all kind of doing terrible things, but it's like your allegiances were changing, once you learned some of the backstory for the characters. It's like, no, don't do that. I thought he might have deserved it, but no, now that I know his dad was, and why he went back and got the knife, his dad handed him that knife. So well done. And then that cliffhanger, man, with the shooting. I don't like that this is only 3 issues.
I don't either. I thought the same thing.
I like that Frank is, going to be a nice, neat, with a bow on it story, but I kind of want more of this universe and these kids and what's going on here. But whatever, Frank. Do what you want. Keep writing that good stuff.
Serenity's using us as background noise because he was cleaning his house and Adam wasn't here. So sorry, this is all you got to look at.
That's fair. Sorry.
I even wore this dope hat, man.
I know you did. It's a great hat, man.
Tried my best. Let's get into the X minute.
Powers.
This is going to really be a minute, I bet.
Powers of 10, #3. Hickman, RB Silva, Marte Gracia on the colors. Clayton Cowles doing the letters. Clayton. Thanks. Tom Muller doing that design. Still going to shout out to that design team. This is what you do. That's the name of the issue. This is a bit less jarring than the last issue. This whole thing takes place in the X2. That's the 100 years in the future timeline, where there's only a handful of mutants. It is kind of just one houseful, just a few mutants. Living on asteroid K. Nimrod controls most everything else. Per the last issue, they are trying to steal some specific data. Apocalypse is the leader, and he's got his horsemen. They go on this suicide mission to get the info. The big reveal here is twofold. They want to implant this data into Moira. How's Moira alive? This is actually not Moira's 10th life that's been going out in House of X. This is the Age of Apocalypse life that she lived in her 9th life. So now she knows when Nimrod will come online, and she can stop it in her 10th life, which we can presume has already happened, because according to all the timelines and charts and stuff in the back, that happened in year 50, and House of X started in year 52. So I guess they're saying that whole Nimrod thing being stopped is what left to Orcus and the mother mold and all that stuff. I don't know. It's cool how Hickman can take one thing and sort of twist it around to be something that you didn't realize it was, but then after he's done it, it sort of makes sense. Like, there was no way for us to know that this X2 life, 100 years in the future, was actually the Age of Apocalypse timeline that she had in life number 9. But the way he's made it out to seem that that's what was going on in her 10th life, So maybe that 1,000-year life where they got the phalanx and all that, maybe that's something completely different. Maybe that's her 6th life. I don't know. Still good. Everything still feels like it's important, in this for the X-Men. So that's about it. What about you, Boog? You still on this? Because the bullies are like, they're off of this.
Well, you summed it up
by that last issue.
You summed it up perfectly in your message last night when you said only dumb people don't like Jonathan Hickman's writing.
Yeah.
Man, it's like Scott Snyder. There are things that I like, and there are things that it's like, man, this feels like homework when I got to read this. I'm like, oh, it's hurting my brain. I'm not bouncing until we get to X-Men number 1.
Yeah, I'm going for the 2 series,
and I don't know that all this matters, and it's exactly like what they did with Rosenberg. It's like, here's this weekly deal. You're going to get all these issues. You're going to spend all this money. Here's issue 1, starting over. Thanks, man. I just wasted all this money. I feel like that's what's going to happen here, but I still want to read it and see what happens. We got 16 people hanging out in the live chat. Do us a favor, hit the like button, help out the analytics of YouTube, and you can also share out the link. Let's see. I'm learning how to use all my new toys that I have here. Let's get into some random reviews presented by Collar and Elbow Brand. Check them out at collarandelbowbrand.com. Use the promo code ComicCast at checkout to save 10%. They got a bunch of fun wrestling t-shirts. If you are into professional wrestling, they're not your typical with a big picture of some wrestler's face. No, they're cool. They're unique. They're different. There's a Dusty Rhodes inspired Living the Dream t-shirt that's fantastic. Check them out. collarandelbowbrand.com. Use the promo code ComicCast and save 10%.
That's so fancy.
Oh, man. Isn't that cool? You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Daredevil number 10. Chip Zdarsky, Jorge Fornes, another wonderful issue. Great ending here. It's going to complicate things a whole lot more for Matt. Did you read this?
Did I throw this back here? Yeah, dude, I loved this cover. This cover was so freaking good.
Yes. It's painted. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love this, man. This is on my man. I've got a mess back here now.
You do. It's okay.
This is on my radar for possibly best ongoing, dude. Chip Zdarsky is killing it with this book. Yeah. I love Daredevil, the character, anyways. But I like the aspect, man, of the conflict that Matt Murdock is facing. It's great, man. I love it.
It just keeps going back and forth. And Elektra showed up. That's the cliffhanger. It's not going to make things better. It seems like he's almost has like a stable romantic relationship going on with what's her name
with a married woman.
Whatever.
It's fine. It's a relationship. People are open to different things.
Things different. Let's just go back and forth. Now you pick one.
Dang, man, it's making me hard to produce the show. Let's see. Where am I? Guardians of the Galaxy, number 8, Donny Cates, Corey Smith. And this issue was pretty much exactly what we expected. We got some backstory on what happened to Rocket and why he's at death's door. And it was kind of like, it was all right, whatever. They did a lot of his origin story mixed in there.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's sad, dude. But the reaction of Groot is what made this comic book good for me. He was almost pissed at Rocket, man. Yeah. There were so many emotions flying back and forth. And Rocket's like, listen, dude, I went into hiding because I don't want to be seen on the verge of death. And how many times have you seen that in real life? You see these people. This is going to get real dark, and I'm going to say it anyway.
No, this is why this is good, because it's real.
My grandfather on my dad's side, never met him. He was going to have his legs amputated, and he didn't want anybody taking care of him. So one of his daughters was leaving the house, and he said, hey, if you'll leave that pistol over here, I'll shoot that stupid bird, cat, whatever. Shot himself. And the reason he did it is because he didn't want people having to take care of him. He didn't want people seeing him like that. I've dealt with that going with relatives, that are on their last days. And I'm like, I don't want to go see that person in the hospital. I want to remember them for who they are. And that's what it felt so real, man, in this comic book. Rocket's like, I didn't want you to see me like this. But then on the flip side, Groot's like, you asshole. Like, we're family. Like, I don't care. We're family. Just real deal. Great writing, Donny Cates.
So well done. Yes.
We see what Peter Quill's father's up to with the Universal Church of Truth. Just Donny Cates, y'all. He doesn't miss. He's the freaking best writer on the planet right now.
I 100% agree with you. Even the cool dog moments where whatever the Russian Cosmo, the Russian dog, is hanging out with what's his name from the Inhumans. Oh, dude. I love that. And that's just a little moment. Great cliffhanger for this issue. And Rocket's got this new mech suit that he's going to be using. What? Yeah, dude. Donny Cates just does it all, man. He's got a lot of heart in there. And then there's just cool comic book stuff going on. I agree, man. He's just amazing.
Serenity says Valkyrie was pretty good this week. Surprising how it ended, though. I thought the Bullseye arc would last more than 2 issues. Yeah, so we're not going to go back and forth now just because Serenity brought that up.
Do it.
This is something I didn't expect to like, but I loved that first issue so much that I was like, I saw it on the shelf and I was like, I'm going to keep reading this, man, see how it goes. Jason Aaron and Al Ewing both doing the writing on this. There was a lot of fighting between Bullseye and Valkyrie back and forth. Amazing artwork. I'm enjoying this. It's a great comic. I didn't expect to care, but it's fun. And Bullseye is hilarious in this. I know you guys are like, Bullseye on a horse with a sword. What's up? That's kind of stupid. But he's trying to engage in this witty banter and just be, and Valkyrie's not having it. She's like, screw you, man. Let's go. Like, to compare it to wrestling, you got a comedy wrestler and a serious wrestler.
Okay.
There's nothing worse than the serious wrestler being like, okay, I got to do comedy stuff now. No, dude, you be you. You be who you are. You don't have to be a comedy wrestler. And that's the way it was. Valkyrie's like, I'm not dealing with this. The fight is on. I'm not going to spoil the end of this book. I don't want to. I just want to encourage you to go read it. And if you hadn't read the first issue, go read it too. Go read the first 2 issues, and you're going to see it's a fun way getting Bullseye involved, showing off how much of a badass Valkyrie is, showing off the weapon that she's using. But then it's going to lay the groundwork for what's coming up and what should be a freaking interesting story arc. I'm down for it. I'm like Serenity. I thought the Bullseye arc would be longer, but they used Bullseye to set up where this thing's going, and it's going to be fun. I think I'm in.
Wow. Surprising. I didn't read it. I should have read it, I guess.
It's good. It's good. What else you got?
Batman number 77. It's the elephant in the room. Tom King, Michael Jane, and Tony Estaniel. City of Bane Part 3. No Bat family members are allowed in Gotham, or Alfred gets it. Damian don't care. And, of course, what happens? Alfred gets his neck snapped by Bane. People are going nuts about this. King teased this for a while, that they were allowing him to do something like major that they wouldn't let him do. Or I guess he didn't think they would let him do. And, yeah, Alfred's dead, y'all. Alfred's dead.
Don't at me, bro.
Don't at me. I didn't do it. Bane did it. But that's it. Catwoman going to help Bruce fix it, though. They're going to fix it.
You got anything else?
Oh man, yeah. You didn't read nothing else?
No, dude, I didn't read anything.
The Goon #4 was dope. It was printed out of order, but it was still good. This is issue #4, and #5 came out last month. I don't know why they did that.
That is so weird.
It is. One last thing I had to mention, and I don't know if you've read. I know you said you liked the first issue, The History of the Marvel Universe #2.
No, that wasn't me. That was Jason, I think, that liked it.
Mark Waid, Javier Rodriguez, still cool. I mean, the whole point is Waid knows the universes. You know, he can recap other stuff that happened in terms of the history, and Rodriguez is just killing the art. But they removed the Vietnam War from Marvel history. Let me explain.
Okay.
It's
even though it was just in Spider-Man Live Story.
Exactly. It's been relabeled as the Sin Gong conflict. And that's where characters like Punisher, Rhodey, Ben Grimm, Reed Richards, that's where they first served in the military. All right, the Vietnam War is still a thing that happened in the Marvel Universe, but that time period sort of differentiates between two different major periods in Marvel publishing. You know what I mean? The 60s where a lot of the Marvel publishing started. So because of the sliding timeline that the Marvel Universe uses, you can't have the Vietnam War be a thing anymore because Punisher would be like 70 years old.
Yeah.
So they had to change that. I thought that was very compelling, very interesting stuff. So yeah, it's very cool. I'm having a great time with this History of the Marvel Universe book. It's wonderfully painted and art is wonderful, and it's just like a silly recap. So that's it. I read some other things, but nothing worth mentioning.
Is that your sign of I want to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, let's talk about another book.
Yeah, this will be fun. We still got a few stragglers hanging out in the live chat. It's not too late. Smash that like button. You don't have to share out the link. We're about to wrap this thing up.
And you can still share out the link, and then they can replay the awesome stuff where Rylend Grant was hanging out.
Yeah, for sure, guys.
Man, we need to have more guests on.
We do. That
was so fun, dude.
It's so much easier now. And it's I don't know. It makes it easier when there's less people. When you got 4 people, it's hard. You got to keep your mouth shut and let him talk. And I think we did a good job of that. Rylend is an interesting dude. Nobody wants to hear what Boogie thinks about poker. We all want to hear what Rylend Grant thinks about poker.
Yeah.
And he was a great guest. You guys go tweet him at Rylend Grant, RYLEND Grant on Twitter, man. Just let him know. Really enjoyed you coming on ComicCast. Had a blast.
Yeah.
Tweet at him and let him know how much fun
Cheers to comics in the live chat. My boy Brian Wayne, he does a lot of stuff like this. I think he's having Rylend on either tomorrow or Monday. Go check that out. Cheers to Comics on Facebook. You can find it. That's probably the easiest way to find it.
Well, let's move on. Let's get into this is weird. We don't have the we don't have the clapper. So guess what? We'll just do this. The Outright Geekery Book of the Week. OutrightGeekery.com, your one-stop shop for news, reviews, previews, podcasts, everything geek at your fingertips. OutrightGeekery.com. Yeah, all these fun little gadgets we have will be gone next week. But we're having some fun with them, man.
It's a free trial.
Outright Geekery Book of the Week. If you guys give us more super chats like Chad Johnson did, we definitely appreciate that. Maybe we could afford this.
Thanks, Chad.
Definitely.
Ghost spider, #1. What the hell is a ghost spider? I actually Googled it. It is an actual spider.
Oh, wow. I got bit by a spider once, and I couldn't walk for like 2 days.
Whoa. Shane and McGuire, Takeshi Miyazawa, Ian Herring, and VC's Clayton Cowles, the hardest working man in comics. Somebody mentioned that in the chat earlier. Yeah, man, that dude's, I mean, he's hanging out with his old lady. He's just got to, writing letters in comic book bubbles all the time. I think we've made that joke before. I never kept up with Ghost Spider. I don't give a damn about a Spider Gwen. Okay? I don't care. That's about the crux of my review here. This was okay. I'm not sure why they needed to relaunch this with a #1. They seem to give us all the backstory of everything that was sort of happening to her in her other books. She's from a different universe, Universe 65. And she's outed in her universe. So they know who she is, so she can't have a normal life. So she's moonlighting in Earth 616 so that she can go to school. There's a weird I don't know, grant opportunity for people from space or from the universe who want to go to school. Who gives a shit? Who cares? The name of my review for this book is Who Cares?
You're welcome. I'm the one that picked this train wreck.
If you like this character, if you've been keeping up with Spider-Gwen, you're going to love this.
Will you,
You're going to
though?
love the hell out of this.
I don't know, man.
Besides all of the backstory stuff, it seemed compelling to me, but I'm just sorry. I don't care. I'm giving this a $2.99. I would give it a $1.99. That's really what I want to give it.
Give it, dude. Give it.
But I can't really judge because I'm just haven't been following the character. I don't know anything about her. But I'm a new reader and I just don't care about Gwen.
You know what I learned about her? She never shuts the hell up. Talk, 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 talk. That's all this book was talking about diet and about kale chips. And what I don't get,
they talk about school like I get it. You're going back to college. We get it. Gwen.
Okay, well, why is she doing this? She decides to attend school in Earth 616 because so she can have a secret identity. What's the first thing she does when she shows up and talks to the dean?
Be a superhero.
She tells her that she's a superhero, and it's like, what are you doing? It's like, that's so stupid. I did like the artwork, so I won't put it in the discount bin.
Yeah,
I love the old school Spidey suit, the Spider-Man design. But I will say something I do like is Peter was like, I'm out. Do your thing. I'm out. You know, I'm gonna go be Spider-Man. I hate when they have like a book like this, and Spider-Gwen's gonna have her chance to shine, and then Peter Parker's going to be in every single issue.
Then it's the Peter Parker show.
Yeah, I hate that. I love the fact that he was there and he's like, cool, I'm gone. Do your thing, kid. But I don't need to hear somebody talking about kale chips. I'm out. $1.99.
Yeah, I'm out too. I'm the only thing intriguing in this is her suit. Is her suit really made like out of spiders?
I didn't know that until this issue.
I didn't know that either.
I love the way you said that. Is it really made out of spiders?
Because that's crazy cool, dude. I would love to read that.
That's all that was cool.
Spiders-Man is the coolest thing from the last Spider-Verse. The Spider-Man who's made out of like a hive mind of spiders. Spiders-Man, I think his name is.
Spiders-Man.
It's so rad, man. Let's talk about what we're reading for next week.
Oh, where's my list?
I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it written down either. Marvel Comics 1000 is coming out, but we're not putting it on the poll.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. I hate putting a book on the poll that's $10 and then somebody doesn't want to read it.
And it's not even that. This is such a unique sort of book because how do we talk about that? The way we talk about it is just saying this was our favorite thing and this was our favorite thing. If we have it as book of the week, we're going to have to go like story by story.
Yeah.
That's not fun, but I'm definitely excited about it.
I'm stoked for Man of Black #2. Man, I dug that first issue from Cullen Bunn. That comes out. We got Absolute Carnage #2 comes out. I'm really, really, really close to dropping Amazing Spider-Man. What the heck? He put out a good story with The Hunted, and then it just goes to trash after that. I don't understand what he's doing.
There's too many Spider books, dude.
That's true.
There's too many Spider books.
I still need to read Tom Taylor's. I've got the trade, haven't read it yet.
So good. I love it, but it's almost there's too many Spider books, so I'm just going to drop them all. Yeah,
I'm really close to dropping Amazing Spider-Man.
Over at Valiant, Dr. Mirage #1 is coming out. That looks good. Isn't Superman Batman coming out? That looks rad. A lot of good books. Oh, man.
That Fantastic Four, Yancey Street.
I'm not excited.
But isn't Al Ewing writing? Who's writing that?
I have no idea. I
thought somebody big was writing it, which piqued my interest.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I don't need two Fantastic Four books.
Right? Who does? You don't need one book.
What's with the Age of Resistance Star Wars books? Why are 2 of them coming out? Did something get delayed or mixed up?
I'm not sure what happens there. I'm off of those, man. I'm off of those.
Are you really?
Yeah, the new stuff. I haven't read a good one since it went into the new stuff.
You're the one that sold me on reading them, and now
you're out. They were good. They were really good, but
Jody Hauser.
And I've heard that the main Star Wars book is getting canceled.
What?
At like issue 75, I think is going to be the last one.
Even though Greg Pak just took over?
I think he's just wrapping it up. It might restart. And Marvel, they're probably going to restart it as something
Put a #1 on it. Yeah, it'll sell good.
Sell another 1 million copies.
All right, man. I think that's it. Man, it's going to wrap it up for the first ever episode of the Boogie and Gaumer Show.
The Boogie and Gaumer Show.
Give us a follow on Twitter at ComicCastPod. Again, shout out to Rylend Grant for joining us. Man, what a great interview. I think we were just exhausted afterwards. It's like, okay, we'll talk about
get through these books.
Yeah, we'll get through them. But again, go check him out on Twitter at Rylend Grant. Tweet him, let him know you enjoyed seeing him come on the show.
Buy his books. They're both wonderful books.
All the links are in the description to do that, as well as his Twitter handle. So you can find him. Did I say Twiddlehander?
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 Twiddle?
There was something else I was going to say. Oh, next week we will not be on at 2:00. Adam's at the beach. That's why we're missing him. He will be back next week. But we're going to broadcast a little later. I can't remember if we said 6 or 7, 6-ish, something like that.
Something like that.
Just look, it'll be on social media. You guys know how it is.
Just enough to throw off my entire Sunday.
There was something else I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it was. So it must not
Get
have been
your comic
important.
book on.
We will see you guys next Sunday.